Let us now go deep and understand Class 12 Flamingo's chapter, The Interview, Part 1, written by Christopher Silvester. Many students feel this chapter is dry or boring, but if we read it like a discussion and a flowing narrative, it becomes a very interesting study of journalism and human psychology. This is not a story in the usual sense. It is actually an excerpt taken from the Penguin Book of Interviews, edited by Christopher Silvester. Through this piece, the author tries to explain what an interview really is and why some people almost worship it, while others consider it something evil. From a teacher's point of view, the first thing we must understand is the context. How interviews began. Today, from morning till night, we see interviews on TV, in newspapers, and on social media. But the author tells us clearly that the interview is not very old. It is hardly about 130 years old, which is a very short time in history. Still, it has become such a common part of journalism that we cannot imagine knowing the truth about celebrities or politicians without interviews. The author says that almost every literate person, meaning anyone who can read and write, has read an interview at least once in their life. On the other hand, celebrities have a very different experience. In the last 130 years, thousands of interviews have been taken, and some famous people are interviewed again and again. Here, the author divides people into two clear groups whose opinions about interviews are completely opposite. First, he talks about those who see interviews in a positive light. According to them, an interview is a very powerful way to reach the truth. They believe it is an art, because bringing out someone's inner thoughts and understanding their personality is not easy. From this point of view, interviews give us vivid impressions, meaning clear and lively pictures of great people of our time. Dennis Bryan even says that today the interview is the most important form of communication. When a journalist questions a celebrity, the journalist holds great power, and readers feel as if they are getting to know the celebrity closely. The second part of the discussion is more interesting and also more important for exams. Here, the author talks about people who strongly hate interviews. These are not ordinary people, but some of the world's most famous writers and thinkers. Christopher Silvester explains that many creative people, like writers and artists, see interviews as an unwarranted intrusion, meaning unwanted interference in their private lives. They feel that interviews reduce or weaken their personality. To explain this deeply, the author gives an example from ancient beliefs. In some primitive cultures, people believed that if someone took their photograph, their soul was being stolen. This works as a strong metaphor. Writers feel that when they are interviewed, their entire personality is exposed to the public. Their privacy and control are lost, and they feel incomplete afterward. Now the author explains the examples of great writers one by one to help us understand their hatred for interviews. The first name is V.S. Naipaul, a very famous writer. He believed that interviews wound people, meaning they emotionally hurt them. According to him, when personal questions are asked and private thoughts are shared publicly, a person feels as if a part of their soul is lost. After this, the author talks about Lewis Carroll, the writer of Alice in Wonderland. Surprisingly, Lewis Carroll was deeply afraid of interviews and never agreed to give one in his entire life. He had a fear of being lionized, which means being treated like a celebrity and constantly surrounded by people. He loved his privacy and believed that interviews would invite fans and reporters into his life, making it unbearable. That is why he preferred to keep interviewers away and even enjoyed telling his friends how he had successfully avoided reporters. The next name on the list is a heavyweight writer, Rudyard Kipling, whose attitude toward interviews was the most aggressive. Kipling believed that interviewing was an immoral act and no decent person should do it. His wife, Caroline Kipling, recorded an incident in her diary about 14th October 1892 in Boston, when their day was ruined by two reporters. After this, Kipling angrily said that interviewing was like an assault, almost like a physical attack. He even compared interviewers to criminals and felt they deserved punishment. According to him, no respectable person would either give or take an interview because it was a vile and cowardly act. However, the author also points out a strong irony. Even though Kipling hated interviews, he once interviewed Mark Twain himself when he worked in journalism. This shows that writers' attitudes can change, or sometimes they follow different rules for themselves and others. As the discussion moves forward, we come to H.G. Wells, a famous science fiction writer. He described an interview as an ordeal, meaning a painful and difficult experience. He believed giving an interview was a kind of suffering. Yet again, we see hypocrisy, because later he himself interviewed Joseph Stalin, the Russian dictator. This proves that even those who criticize interviews cannot ignore their power. The most powerful description comes from Saul Bellow. He said that giving an interview feels like someone is pressing a thumb on his windpipe. This phrase is very important for students. Bellow meant that interviews make writers feel choked and suffocated. Uncomfortable questions take away their freedom to think and speak naturally. After seeing all these negative views, a natural question arises in students' minds. If interviews are so bad, why are they still alive and so popular today? Christopher Silvester answers this at the end of the chapter. He explains that despite all their drawbacks, interviews are a supremely serviceable medium of communication, meaning they are extremely useful. Human beings are naturally curious about others' lives, and interviews satisfy this curiosity. Dennis Bryan points out that interviewers today hold great power because they connect common people with famous personalities. When we read an interview of a politician or actor in the newspaper, it is the journalist who brings their reality before us. So, even if writers like Kipling or Carroll disliked interviews, the truth is that interviews have secured an important place in society. The interviewer acts as a bridge between the celebrity and the common man. Overall, Part 1 teaches us that every coin has two sides. For the general public, interviews are a source of truth and entertainment. For celebrities and writers, they feel like an attack on privacy and a heavy burden. Christopher Silvester uses powerful quotations from different writers to show that an interview is not just a simple conversation. It is a complex mix of power, psychology, and privacy. After reading this part, we understand that while watching an interview, we should not focus only on the answers, but also think about what the interviewee might be feeling, whether they are comfortable or speaking under pressure. This chapter presents a balanced view of media power and the difficulties of celebrity life, which is why it is included in the Class 12 syllabus. We can end this explanation by saying that Christopher Silvester does not force us to choose one side. Instead, he presents all facts honestly. He shows us that we as Nepal felt people lose a part of themselves. Kipling saw interviews as a crime, Lewis Carroll feared fans, and Saul Bellow felt suffocated. Yet the final conclusion is that the interview has become a necessary evil, something unpleasant but unavoidable. Without it, the flow of information would stop, and we would never get vivid impressions of people of our time. So next time you read an interview, remember the power in the interviewer's hands and think about whether the person being interviewed might be feeling exactly what Saul Bellow described, like someone is pressing a thumb on their windpipe. This is the complete story and deep analysis of part 1 of the interview, and it will help you answer every exam question with clarity and confidence. Friends, if you like the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. We will meet again in the next video. Till then, goodbye.